Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Horror Room. I'm Travis Bruce, and today we're doing another indie horror spotlight. Today, I have with us, he's a filmmaker. He's also a writer, actor, and a composer. I have with us today Tim Navante,
Novate.
Navante, and he has a new movie that's in production right now. It's called, I'm going to butcher this, Mephistophiliac.
Mephistophiliac.
It's Philiac. Okay.
Yeah,
Yes. Welcome to the horror realm, my friend.
Thanks for having me.
So tell us about your new movie.
So this movie, Mephistophiliac, is about a man who's struggling alcoholic. He's had a lot of very horrible things happen in his life: the passing of his mother, separation with a girlfriend, loss of a job, just every bad thing that anybody that could go through. It just keeps crumbling down on him. So he starts visiting this therapist, and the movie actually takes place sort of at this midpoint where you find out that he's actually been satisfying these awful feelings and things that he's been going through as a serial killer, sort of a dual personality complex that he has. And it's kind of a commentary on everything that's been happening in our society with a lot of the violence and just the uprise and depression and things like that have been going on, and just how far it could go in a human being and how twisted they can actually become. And there's actually a lot of very deep psychological factors that we go into in this film. I mean, it's not your typical horror movie with some guy chasing around a bunch of naked girls in the woods with a knife. It's not that kind of I mean, this is kind of along more of the lines of maybe something like Falling Down or Jekyll and Hyde in terms of concept. But we're midway through production right now. We continue production next summer due to some of the weather we're about to have here, because a lot of our stuff is outdoors. So that's pretty much the context of it.
And are you shooting on the East Coast?
Yes, we're shooting in Ohio, actually.
Ohio.
Yeah, everywhere between Akron to Columbus to Cleveland, up in that area. So Northeast Ohio based.
I've been all throughout the area for work. A couple of years back, I was in Ohio, especially Columbus and Cleveland, a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And it can get pretty damn cold in the winter there.
Oh yeah. It's freezing.
Yeah.
It's terribly freezing up here. I mean, I want to say it went from like 60 degrees over this weekend to like down to 25 within like a day. So it's just like, personally, I'm getting sick of it, but that's just me.
I mean, I'm in Maryland and I'm complaining because it's like 40 something, but like 20, yikes.
Yeah.
Imagine that.
It's that lake effect.
Yes.
That's exactly what it is.
All right, so you started back. How long since the time of conception and writing and putting this together has it been so far?
Well, this project took us 8 years because I have a co-writer, and he was actually my first actor on the film. Not just on this project, but just in general. Somebody I've been working with. His name's Kevin Winstead. And when I started directing back in 2012, he was the first one to volunteer to act for my short film. My first short film that I did was a movie called Twisted Fate. And ever since then, we've been working together. So we co-wrote this film. I mean, it's been about 8 years. We've been talking about it for 8 years. And then earlier this year, we had the money together. Everything was ready to go. And we're just like, let's do it. Let's make this one happen. We've been talking about it for so long. So let's work on it,
Now, how does it feel as a filmmaker to have a project you've been working on so long and so hard on, and you're finally starting to get the wheels moving and start seeing the actual finish line?
Oh, this one's really exciting because this is my third feature film that I've done. There were two others that I was working on before this that just completely fell through, that turned into sort of a disaster zone. It was kind of COVID kind of had something to do with that. And then there was also some shady producers attached. But things finally came together for us because everything is now in our wheelhouse. We don't have any sort of external influences on this picture at all. So it's much more self-contained. We did get some names in this that we've wanted to work with for quite some time. We have Felissa Rose in this one, and we also have
Amazing.
Joe Bob Briggs. Yeah.
Nice.
So it's been a hell of an experience so far. I mean, it's been great. I've enjoyed it. So yeah.
So what has some? I mean, right now in the year 2023, what are some challenges that indie filmmakers are running into right now?
I'm going to say, I mean, I can't speak for everybody, but my biggest challenges are budgetary concerns and trying to adapt to some of the new technology and some of the new things that are coming out now. And what I mean by that is everybody's going more and more AI now, and everything's becoming so digital. And I'm sort of one of those filmmakers who I love practical effects.
Me too.
I actually, there's a music video that I'm working on now where it's probably the first time I'm going to have to use a CG for something, which I'm not really thrilled about, but we have to do that because I mean, not everything we're doing is completely perfected yet, and there's some things that we can't really pull off until we figure it out. But I would say that budget and just some of this AI competition that we have now, because we know, I mean, I read an article, and I'm not sure if you know much about the script writing thing that was going on, but a lot of the AI is starting to write scripts now, which is like, oh, that's kind of, so it's
weird.
It's really weird. I mean, it is. It's like Terminator shit, It's like I don't like it. I don't like where it's going, but I'll see what happens. As long as it stays within our control, we're okay.
Yeah, because I mean, I wonder, like, when you have AIs and computers writing scripts, even the production of movies, like, how can a human being relate to something that's not made by another human being?
Right. I mean, and that's kind of my brain personally. Like, if you've gone to the theater and you've watched like a CG movie with like dinosaurs and things running around, my brain can tell the difference between CG and not, like something that's practical, like something that Stan Winston maybe built. But there's something about that visceral reality in film that just made it magic for me, and that's why I wanted to do this ever since I was a kid. Like that was the whole point of making movies, was just to combine, like quality craft artwork with moving picture. To me, that was the big seller. Now it's just like, well, you might as well become a video game developer, because that's what it all is now.
Really is.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it's not about the actual talent anymore. It's about how the digital effects, and like, for me as a watcher, I'm not a filmmaker, but I'm a watcher. I say it a lot. I prefer the practical effects, and I grew up in the '80s, and I'm used to watching practical effects. Yeah, they might come off cheesy sometimes, but it just has a more realistic, organic feel than something that's computer generated.
Exactly. Yeah. And I prefer to, I mean, that's been my goal as a filmmaker, to try to perfect that as much as possible and learn as much about it as possible to put into my films, and to just keep going with that and like use no CG,
Yes.
So, but now I'm going to have to for a music video, which I'm not happy about. So, because we were like, not fun, but hey, whatever, it worked.
Now, getting back to your movie, it's funny that you described Falling Down, because as you were describing your movie, that's one of the movies that jumped out in my head, because I mean, this was an amazing movie, and I feel like it's underrated, because you got to watch someone go down to the dark, deep pits that lose everything, and just snap. And that's something that could happen to any one of us.
Yeah. And that's what this film's about. But it takes that kind of attitude that maybe Michael Douglas had in Falling Down, but it pushes it to the most extreme degree. You know, like this guy goes out and does some of the most horrific things to people, and throughout the film, it's almost like a split personality complex. But without, if I say too much, I'm going to spoil it.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's got that same vibe to it. I mean, there's another film that was kind of influenced by this. When Kevin and I were writing this, we watched a movie called Rampage by Uwe Boll. This one has a lot of that kind of feel to it too, you know. So it's got some of the slasher elements in there. I mean, there's chainsaw murders, there's a lot of, you know, gunfights and things like that. There's a car chase, all kinds of stuff too. So I mean, it's kind of a nice. I don't like to call it like a horror, straight up horror film, because it's really not about a supernatural thing. It's not really a monster thing. It's more of a like a thriller or a psychological thriller, you know.
There was one that recently came out a couple years ago, and I saw this in the theater, but it didn't get that much attention. It had Russell Crowe in it.
Yeah, I know which one you're talking about. I saw that one.
It was so
called.
Good.
What was the name of it? I watched it not long ago. He just snapped, and he was chasing that woman around in his car.
Yes.
Yeah. Was it Unhinged? Was that what it was called?
Unhinged.
Yeah.
Yes. So good.
That
it was so good.
Yeah.
And I don't know why it didn't get that much. I saw it in the theaters, and it didn't get that much attention.
No, I didn't even know it was released in theaters. I saw it. I think I found a DVD somewhere, and I watched it. It was like in an exchange somewhere, because I don't know. Exchange is kind of like one of the last bastions of physical media we have up here, you know. So that's where I get stuff from.
But like, he totally snaps in that movie, and I mean, that one definitely had the gore and everything in it.
That was a good one. Oh yeah.
Now, so when it came to, so you 8 years you're putting this together, did you have certain individuals in mind to play some of the characters as the cast, or did you do the whole rehearsal and casting?
Well, we kind of went with people that we've worked with before on previous films that we really liked. It was either people that we knew, like either Kevin knew or I knew or I worked with, because we've both been on quite a few different sets, you know, not working with each other, you know. And we just kind of pulled in some of the talent that we, you know, worked with, and we just gave them roles that we thought would fit their characters. And that's pretty much as simple as it got. Some of the names that came into this, like Felissa Rose, was somebody. Well, Felissa was recommended to me by somebody who was another. He was a filmmaker and a crewman who passed away a few years ago. And then one of my other friends, who was a musician, finally, they were friends and they connected us. So, but I mean, it just kind of started steamrolling. It was just like the right time to make it, and all these people that we knew just fell in line with what we were, you know, doing. They're like, hey, I want to work on this too, you know.
Yeah.
So we're like, yeah, we got a part for you, you know. And that was that simple.
Now, getting a Felissa Rose, is it as easy as, hey, would you like to be in my movie, or did it take some back and forth?
Well, I had a mutual friend who they've worked with her before on another film set. She's also an actress.
Mm-hmm.
And it was kind of like one of those, I'd like to have her in my film. Would she be interested in doing this? Okay, I'll talk to her. And then she was all about it. And she came up and just did the scenes, you know. I mean, it was that easy because, I mean, it was hard for me to get a hold of her at first, because the original connection I had to her was he passed on, he's dead. But it worked out, you know. I mean, it's just all about networking, and if you network with enough people that are doing this, you'll eventually rub elbows with some people that know big names, you know. Like, that's what happens. I mean, it happens. It's kind of one of the things, if you've been doing it for a long time, it'll just, like, oh, that guy, you know, like, you know.
Because I've interviewed several filmmakers who've had her in their movie, and they said that she's an absolute joy to work with.
She's amazing. It's funny because she was at a convention, and she didn't see, because she plays the other lead in this film, the psychiatrist. that's opposite of Kevin's character. So we actually shot all of her scenes in one day because
Wow.
this sequence is split out throughout the film. So we basically shot, I think like 38 pages or something like that in 8 hours with them.
Wow.
So she didn't see him in the full getup. He was still, himself. But he came to the convention with me in this in his makeup, this devil makeup, and she saw it for the first time, and she's like, "Oh my god, like that looks so amazing!" And yeah, we had fun. She's excellent to work with. I'd work with her again. I think she's great.
Amazing.
So,
I still haven't. So I go to a lot of horror conventions. I still haven't yet met her, but I'm gonna make sure to. I know I'm going to one in South Carolina next year, and she's gonna be there, so I'm definitely gonna say hi because
yeah,
I think she does excellent work. Excellent work. And also, I hear she's a great person. That's even better.
She is. She
so,
is.
That's a win-win.
I'll tell you something cool that she did for that set because there was a lot of dialogue and we had to get through a lot of things. And one of the things we did, she's like, "Hey, what if I brought a teleprompter?" I'm like, "That's actually a really good idea because if anybody screwed," and Kevin was like, "I'll use it too," like.
Yeah.
So we actually had when we shot these, there were like OTS scenes, over the shoulder scenes, and we just put somebody with teleprompter on the other side of them, so if they messed up, I could just cut and do whatever, but they could see their line, so it made things go a lot smoother. So that's why we made it through in such a short amount of time.
That's the thing. Now I always wonder, as an actor or actress, like reading a teleprompter. But this is why I don't do a script, like even with my show, because I feel like I'm going to sound like a robot because I'm going to be reading off of it. Is it hard not to, if there's a script in front of you? I mean, since you were an actor as well, got a script in front of you, not to go into like robot reading mode?
Well, I mean, it's different because I can't speak for all actors, but I started acting when I was in theater when I was a teenager. And then I went from there to college I mean, I've been acting for almost 20 years now, very close to 20 years. So for me, I've always liked character actors. I've always liked the actors who can become what they read on the script and then try to do something with that, make my own interpretation of that while I do that. But it's, for me, the dialogue comes natural once you've read it enough times and you start to understand the story, because I don't like to just read my parts. I like to read the entire script and then talk to the writer or the director, like what kind of vibe does this have? What do you see about this character? Like what kind of archetype does he fit into? And then it's really more of a psychological game. And you start to adapt these qualities and traits of all these different characters that you play. And I mean, I can say I've pretty much almost played everything that I've just wanted to so far, except minus a vampire. I haven't been asked to really do that yet. But I've had a few experiences where I really enjoyed some of the characters that I played, and then some of them I knew they just called me in because it was just the way I looked, because I guess I look like a creepy guy. So like I play a lot of villains,
Yeah, like,
so
we need a creepy guy. Let's call Tim.
mm-hmm. Like, hey, who's that creepy guy? Let's give him let's see if he'll play this character.
Perfect for this people.
And I'm all about it. I'm just like, where creepy character? I'll do it.
Now, working on both sides, I mean, working as an actor and then going into as a filmmaker, do you think that has helped you as a filmmaker, knowing what it's like to be an actor? And I'm pretty sure you probably worked with directors that were tough to work with and didn't respect actors. Do you think by being an actor first, it has made you a better filmmaker?
I think it's helped me communicate with actors on their level a lot easier, because I understand what they have to go through. Especially, I enjoy working with more experienced actors more. The ones that really love their characters, no ego, and are just all about their craft, because that's the kind of artist that I am and that I like to work with. I like to work with artists, not just actors or personas. I like artists. I like people who are creative, and I like to work with those kinds of people because that's who I am. So it makes it easier to communicate when you're that kind of person. It's just similar ideals, similar methods sometimes, and yeah, it's made it easier in some ways. other ways it's made it more difficult. Like if somebody's not experienced as an actor, trying to help them understand what they're doing and their motivation, like that's, to me, that's difficult. And because I started out having to do that. Um, you know, like there's actors that I could call them actors now because before they weren't, but I worked with them in the past when I was starting filmmaking, and they had absolutely no experience. And once I started showing them these things, you know, and how it works, I mean, I said it's really, it's simple. All you have to do is really just watch movies. If you watch movies all the time and you watch characters, you really analyze, like watch how they're acting and some of the things that they do, you'll get it. I mean, it's that simple. I mean, you don't have to really go to a school to learn how to act. You just have to be a huge fan of movies and acting, and understand, you know, the context of what that character, what kind of movie that character is in, you know?
Hmm.
So, I mean, it is sort of a mind game if you want to play pro and you want to go full character actor. But I mean, just to understand it and just to be an actor, it's really not that difficult. You know?
And that's interesting that you say you prefer experienced actors, because I talked to a lot of indie filmmakers, and they said they prefer inexperienced
Yeah, I mean, that's,
actresses.
I did originally until it became uh, too troublesome, and then I was seeing the results on camera, and I was like, I didn't like that performance because I'm sort of a perfectionist in a lot of ways. I know nothing I do is ever going to be perfect. And I criticize myself a lot. I mean, still am kicking myself in the ass of some of the stuff that I've done for my previous films. But, you know, to me, I like people who have that experience because I can speak that language and I understand, you know, where they're coming from, because that's how I learn, because I overanalyze everything. I mean, I can't speak for any other indie directors, or maybe they have a different experience than me, but that's just how I am, you know.
Yeah.
So
All right. So let's go up to your acting career. You've been in tons of movies, and I'm a huge Full Moon fan. You know, I grew up in the '80s watching the Demonic Toys, Puppet Master,
yeah.
and I came across your IMDb, and it said new movie. It said Jack Attack
Jack,
on
yeah.
Demonic. I was like, this is a thing. I did not even know that this was out.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I played, I mean, I can't remember my characters. That's funny. I haven't even watched that one yet.
Yeah.
And I've seen the trailer. So that's the one I have to still watch. I did watch the one I did previously. It was because Bill Butler did both of them, and he was working with Charles Band, and Charles Band is stationed now in Ohio. He is shooting films here.
Oh, nice.
I don't know if it's just this place. I know he's shooting all over the country. He's probably working on multiple projects, but he does have a base camp here. So any project that comes up, I work closely with that effects artist, and I know a lot of those people, and they're great people to work with. You know, so. But yeah, Jack Attack. We shot that. I want to say that was like out near Maslin, Ohio. There was an actual farm that we went out to and used. It was an Airbnb farm, and we had access to the barn, the house, everything. I mean, it was really cool. So that was fun.
Did you grow up watching the old Full Moon movies?
It's funny, yeah, because I had the old Demonic Toys on a VHS. I remember because when we were kids, we used to just go into Blockbuster and just grab stuff. You know, just run out. Like, I mean, I saw a lot of the Full Moon movies, and I have probably a few of them that are before, like the early Full Moon stuff too. So yeah, I grew up watching a lot of that stuff.
So when Jack Attack Demonic Toys came past you, we were like, oh my god, I got to do that.
Well, it was funny because I didn't know that the title was Demonic Toys until, because I saw the thing was called Jack Attack. They gave me a script. I was like, okay, Jack Attack, and I saw the updated revised version, like Demonic. I'm like, I think I watched something like that when I was 12. You know, like it was Demonic Toys. I think I remember this movie. Is this like a sequel? You know, so yeah, that was fun. So and it's been kind of like that because I went in to play an extra on Mindhunter, And David Fincher was a director that I watched when I was a kid. I was a big fan of Fight Club, Alien 3. I love the Alien movies, even though everybody hated that one. And he did too. He didn't have a lot of nice things to say about it when I asked him. But that was kind of a weird, surreal experience, because that was a director that I grew up watching his films and thought they were great. And then all of a sudden I'm sitting next to him asking questions about filmmaking and on his set, playing these different characters.
Yeah.
So that kind of happens like, like the more you love this, the deeper in you get into it. And then you just find yourself around all these people you watched when you were kids, So that's just what happens. I mean,
That's amazing.
yeah.
Now, as a filmmaker, are you working on multiple projects at the same time, or do you just focus your attention on one?
Yeah, that's one of the biggest problems I have, is I tend to put my hands in a lot of projects. There's a film I told the director, because the director and I have been friends for years. I told them, like, I'm pretty much retired from acting. I'm only going to work with people that I really know, that I've worked with for years, and he goes, well, I got one more for you. And it was a movie called Fiber Burn. And it's, I don't know if you're familiar with this. It was an 90s, early 90s film called Hardware. It was kind of a robot killer movie with Dylan McDermott. And it's kind of, I don't remember the director's name. He did a reboot of Island of Dr. Moreau and was kicked off his own set. Richard Stanley.
Okay.
It's very reminiscent of Hardware and Terminator. It's one of those films, but that was the last thing that I was on the set for as an actor. So, yeah, that was it. So I can promote that one, and I'll plug that one, because that one comes out next year too. So
okay, sweet.
small role I have in that one. So.
Now, I also see that you're in pre-production for a movie named Gemini.
No, Gemini has been shelved. That was a project written by one of our friends who we didn't have the budget for it. We ended up making some really bad deals with some producers that we came across from LA. And it was one of those things where we should have waited for the money and done it ourselves, like we're doing with this one, Mephistophiliac, because there were too many cooks in the kitchen. Some of the people that we did business with were not legitimate. And it just kind of was shelved. It's just, we can't really do anything with it right now.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to have to probably play the waiting game on that one. Yeah. So we started, we made a promo trailer on it with another company that I work with called Red Point. And that was about it. But the script was finished. Everything was ready to go. It's just we needed money, and we needed a good producer to help us get it out there, So
yes, I saw the trailer and it looked amazing. I was like, "Wow, this."
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that was
definitely hope that. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the sad part is too. One of the other reasons we didn't go into full production was two of the cast members that we had passed away during the last few years. And there was a guy that we had. His name was Jimmy Barber. He was going to play Richard Kuklinski in this film, the Iceman Killer. And he was, his look and the way he was, he was perfect. He looked exactly like him,
Yeah.
But he unfortunately died a few years ago. So it's shelved now. We're going to figure out what to do with that one at some point, but we'll see.
Now, when it comes to as a director, you're more of a psychological thriller than slasher horror guy.
Yeah.
What do you say?
I don't know. I like psychological thriller, but I'm a big H.P. Lovecraft fan because I love that cosmic horror, that just bizarre stuff. So slasher films to me, like your typical, like I described before, your typical guy in a mask running around. It's been so overdone. I feel I have probably over 350 horror films, and I think half of them are guys in masks running around chopping people up. I'm like, I've seen this before. How many different ways can you cut up a person? It's just nothing to me that's uncharted territory with that. And if you're going to do something that's uncharted territory, then you have to take some kind of psychological spin on it, So, I would say, yeah, I'm more of a psychological horror thriller kind of guy. You know?
Okay. All right. So as you know, this is a horror channel, so I'm gonna ask you three random horror questions. Are you ready?
Mhm. Right.
All right. First one is, what is a horror movie that that you love that you think that most people don't know about or is completely underrated?
Um, that's a good question. Completely underrated. What people don't know about. That is a good question. I kind of liked it's a Mario Bava film called Black Sunday. It's probably well known about now, but that's one that I kind of enjoyed growing up watching. Obscure stuff. Oh, another one I do like was a French film called Inside, and it was about a pregnant woman who was in a car accident, and she's got like an intruder trying to get into her house and rip her baby out of her. That was one of my favorite
Wow.
films. That's an obscure one that I tell people about, and I'm like, you got to see this. It's a French film. They're like, oh, I have to read subtitles. I'm like, yeah, you do. Learn a new language, you know. So, but it's worth it. I was like, that was one that I really thought was good. Yeah.
Inside. Okay. I'm
Inside.
definitely check that out.
Yeah.
Mine is Mandy with Nicolas Cage.
I saw Mandy. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That was a good movie. And I was trying to figure out, there was one they made after that. I don't know if it was the same director or not. It was called Willy's Wonderland. Did you check that one out?
I've seen that one with Nicolas Cage as well. Yeah.
Was that supposed to be like an indirect sequel or something to that, or what was
Well,
that
I
supposed to
think
be?
it was supposed to be. I think it was supposed not a sequel, but I think it was supposed to be like the same look and the same feel,
Okay.
but put into a different scenario. I didn't like that one though.
Yeah, yeah, I didn't either. I mean, that one was kind of like, and he didn't even have
He
any
didn't.
lines, which
Yeah.
probably saved them a lot of money because,
Yes.
like, but yeah, I liked Mandy. I think I remember the first time I watched Mandy, I almost had a headache because there were so many colors and it was like
Yes.
really close to the screen. I was like, "Whoa, there's so much neon in this!" Like,
I know.
holy shit, you know, like it was cool. I like that one.
It was cool. And then like from the first to the second half, it's just a completely different movie. It's
It really is.
yeah.
I really dug that one. Yeah. Actually can't wait. There is one that there's a director that I like, and I think he's doing really cool stuff. And a lot of people hate his movies, which is his name's Robert Eggers, and he's the guy that directed The Witch, The Lighthouse, Northman.
Yes.
He's remaking Nosferatu, which I can't wait to see. I guess it comes out
Really.
Christmas. Yeah, so I like his stuff. You know,
I like The Witch and I enjoyed The Northman. The Northman was good.
I love The Northman. Yeah, I thought that was a good movie. But yeah, I like obscure stuff like that. But horror questions. I would say Inside. I'm going to use Inside as that answer to that question.
All right, so I'm definitely gonna watch that one.
Oh yeah, it's good.
The second question I'm going to hit you with is, who's your favorite final girl of all time? Final girl.
Hmm. Well, that's going to be tough. Favorite final girl. I'm just gonna, you know what? I'm gonna say Felissa because I've worked with her and I think she's cool. I'm just gonna go with her right now, honestly.
That's
She's
a
my
good one.
favorite. Yeah.
Yes.
Sleepaway Camp, you know. Yeah, I'm gonna go with her because she is my favorite. Technically, I've worked with her. I know her. She's my favorite. So,
Which I don't know if you can answer this question, but hopefully this is a controversial one. What streaming app has the worst horror movies?
probably Netflix.
I
I hate the stuff that I've seen on Netflix. I I haven't seen a good. I mean, I'm gonna be honest. I haven't seen a really good horror movie that's grabbed me in a very long time. So it's kind of hard. But I'd say Netflix. Every time I go through Netflix, I'm just like, how is this? You know?
I mean, they get the so the crazy part is I hear that they're strict on what indie horror movies they will accept, but it's the ones they do accept are a bunch of crap.
Yeah. I mean,
They're hard to watch.
Amazon is becoming that way too. Amazon Prime, because both of my feature films were previously on Amazon Prime, and they started this whole purge back in like 2017 or 18, And I remember going into my account and looking, and they weren't available to watch anywhere. And I guess that happened to a number of indie people. And I don't know if that had something to do with bandwidth or if it was just the X amount of views that you had to have to keep it on there. I don't know what that was, but it's kind of made me a little bit nervous about the future of streaming stuff, especially for indie horror films. But I think that now, because there's so many different channels, like recently my YouTube channel was hacked along with a bunch of other my accounts, and I had to restart it and get all that views and all those subscribers back. So nothing really is safe. I have been checking out other accounts like Odyssey and things like that, which are kind of more lenient on, censorship and things like that, with horror stuff. And I think there's going to be sort of a backlash somewhere with a lot of artists and people who are streaming, where they're just going to say, you know what, we're going to start our own networks and screw these corporate guys,
Yeah.
And I get it. I mean, it's getting bad.
I agree. And I don't know if you feel the same way, but I feel like the big streaming companies, Netflix, the Amazons, the Hulu, I feel like they're going to eat each other alive. I feel like I just feel like the consumer at some point is going to be like, fuck this. Because let's talk about Netflix. Like Netflix puts on a lot of crap. Like it's hard to even find anything good on Netflix. And Netflix used to be great when it came to original content.
Yeah.
But now they just put these big movie prices, Kevin Hart, The Rock, and Ryan Reynolds, and the movie's an absolute shit.
It is, yeah. That's exactly what they're pumping out. And I've noticed it's mostly domestic motion pictures, anything in this country, because there was a series I watched on Netflix called Freud. And it was made, I want to say it was either made in Germany or somewhere overseas, but they're making better shit than we are. And they always kind of have been, I mean, so either the writers have to, grow a brain and get creative, or, we'll just bring them over here, I don't know what their resolution's going to be.
Or the AI is going to take over.
Yeah, or they'll just let AI take over. I mean, they've already pretty much done it. I mean, I have to say, I'm probably in the minority when I say this, but I was one of the few people that did not enjoy the last Evil Dead movie. And I was like, how can you not enjoy an Evil Dead movie? Because it's Evil Dead, It's like, I enjoy Evil Dead. And the only reason I didn't enjoy it is like, half of this is CG, and it feels like the script was written by a robot. And I think somewhere I read that it was. And I was like, okay, here it goes. So,
but the two things, look, I enjoyed the Evil Dead remake. Now, I don't love it as much as everybody else. Like, I remember when that movie first came out. Before I think I saw it like on a Monday. It came out, and everybody was rushing out on horror fans during that weekend. Everybody was talking about, oh my God, this is the greatest movie ever. This is every blah 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 blah. And then I was like, oh boy. I hate when people say that, because it's always
it wrecks it for you, Like,
I'm like, I'm going to totally hate this movie now because people are saying that, and it's almost like Terrifier. People said, "Oh my God, Terrifier is the greatest movie ever made." And then I watched it. I was like, "Why do y'all say that?" Now I fucking hate the movie. Like, it's like
I'm the same exact way,
and it's not that good.
I think I did. There was a movie. I'm going to say it was probably the newer Batman that came out. And people were just hyping it up, and they were just like, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, and I asked this guy was hyping it up to me on one of the sets. He's like, you gotta see the new Batman movie. It's just the most amazing thing ever made. It's just the greatest thing. And I looked at him, and I gave him one of my favorite films. I'm like, is it better than Apocalypse Now? He's like, it's better than Apocalypse Now. And I'm like, okay, fuck it. I'm going to watch it. So I did. And you know what happened? I fell asleep 2 minutes into the fucking thing.
It was so fucking long, man. It was so
it was
long. It took me like a week to finish watching that movie.
Yeah.
It was so fucking long.
It was. I was like, and I love Batman shit. I mean, I grew up with Batman, so I'm like, no.
People just didn't hype it up because the Evil Dead movie. So I went and seen it, and then yes, the CGI blood is like over the top. It's like CGI hell.
Yeah.
But also too, and I agree with you with the AI. the thing I said was about that movie. It seemed like no one in that movie was real. Like, how you saying that? Yeah,
Yeah.
it seems like no one was real. Like,
No.
it was not like, I'm like, this is a mother and her children, and they don't interact like family. It's
That is
like,
one of my biggest problems with that.
and I did a review and I said about it. I said they do not act like human beings. They do not act like, this is not how a mother acts with her daughter. This is not how brothers and sisters act. This is not how two sisters, adult sisters, interact with each other. Like, it was just all fucking weird. And then they brought up this whole pregnancy thing in the beginning, and just whoop. I'm like, what was the point of even? I thought that was going to go somewhere, but they brought this.
I'll tell you, my disappointment with that scene was the minute she was on the floor and that she was crawling after. I thought they were going to rip the baby out and eat it. I was hoping for that to happen, and it did
I was
not
waiting
happen.
for a payoff with this whole big beginning of the movie about her pregnant by some guy who she's broken up with, or is a rock band, and they didn't go absolutely nowhere with that.
Yeah, and that's the problem with that too. They didn't go anywhere with that. They didn't care about any of the characters, and they did not push the envelope. And horror movies these days are not pushing the envelope because everybody's too scared to get offended with this shit. It's horror. It's supposed to be malevolent. It's supposed to be disgusting and vile and despicable.
Offensive.
You know?
It's supposed to offend everybody.
Yes, and that's why I love it.
Everybody.
That's why I do this.
But that's my biggest thing about horror now is, especially, and I hate to say this, but it's especially in indie horror, it's this, I don't want to offend anyone.
Yep.
And I'm like, and it's more so in indie than big. I don't want to offend someone. I don't want to have naked women in my movie because that might offend someone. I don't want to have a character in a wheelchair get killed because that might offend disabled people. Like, this is horror.
Oh.
I mean,
there's a scene we got in Mephistophiliac with an elderly lady in a wheelchair that there's a lot of stuff in that one that's going to piss people off. I mean, there's a lot of stuff in my movies that would, and that's why I love doing it. It's like you have to push the envelope with horror.
You do.
You know, you have to shock people. You have to frighten them. You have to make them feel uncomfortable. You know, and that's the thing. Like, if I can't make you feel like you're in the hands of a madman for at least 80 minutes, then I've not done my job.
Exactly. You know? And
So,
I have to care about the character's fate also.
Exactly.
Like, Evil Dead Rising, I did not care about anybody in that movie dying because they didn't spend no time making them human. It was right. I believe what you're saying, that it was written by AI now. By you saying that, it makes absolute sense because not one character in that movie acts like a human being. They act like something else, like an alien or something. Like, I was like, no human being acts like that, talks like that, interacts with their family like that. Is fucking weird. Yeah,
it was, and that's why I was like, there's something wrong with this. AI wrote this. I'm 100% sure. So I'm not looking forward to the future of the Screenwriting Guild. Maybe that's why they went on strike. I didn't really follow, but if they did, well, now we know why.
Yes, because robots are not good at writing movies.
No, they're not. They're not. They're good at doing menial, stupid jobs that we don't need to do. You know, artist comes from a human being. Let's keep it that way.
Exactly. Tim, where can everyone find you, my friend?
Okay, so my company, the Novatarian Syndicate, you can find my YouTube channel. I'm on YouTube, Twitter. Is it still called Twitter, or is it called X now?
X. Yes.
It's X. Okay, you can find, I guess you can find it on X because I've been on it too long. Facebook, we're starting an Odyssey account in sort of a replacement for YouTube, but you can still subscribe to the YouTube, and we'll have links on our main pages for that.
And your YouTube channel will be in my description, so please just click around everyone.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. So you can go and see some of our work there, and just keep tuned in because we got more content coming out here. So
awesome.
Oh, yeah.
So next year, Tim, when everything wraps up, man, I want you to have you back on so we can talk about it.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'll bring Kevin with me. Maybe we can both talk about our experience making this thing.
Yes, that'd be amazing, man. That'd be amazing.
Yeah, it's going to be good.
Well, listen, thanks for coming on, man. I appreciate it. Once again, you're more than welcome to come on anytime, promote anything.
Thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it, man. This is cool. I love it.
Thank you for being one other person that agrees with me about Evil Dead Rises.
Oh, I thought I was the only one.
No one has agreed with me because I made a review. I said, see, I didn't even know about the AI thing. I was like, the big thing I had with this movie is like, these people don't act like humans. Like, they don't talk like humans. They don't interact with humans. And I was like, and what happened to the whole fucking baby I did in the beginning? Where did that go in the movie? Like, they brought it up and then just like it never happened.
Yeah.
Once again, I was expecting the same thing you were expecting. I was expecting the baby to get ripped out, her having a miscarriage, something to like, this is the reason why we spent 15 minutes in the beginning of the movie focusing on this damn baby.
Exactly.
Nothing.
Have a point, you know.
Nothing.
Stop with the robots and have a point, you know. Like,
nothing. She didn't even tell her sister, by the way, I'm pregnant by Kevin, and you know, but she didn't even fucking discuss it with nobody. It was just like, I'm pregnant. 15 minutes of the movie, first beginning of the movie, and baby's gone. Like, what was the point?
There was no point.
No point at all.
There was no point.
And also, too, but let me tell you something, too. The way the kids reacted when their mom died, like, no one reacts that way.
No.
Like, the one boy's sister dies. He just, oops.
That's all it was.
Like that.
No.
Even in horror movies, no one acts like that.
I know. Like, that's another problem I have is the acting in horror movies has gotten so robotic and so fake. And that's why I'm a big fan of rehearsals and, you know, get their experienced actors who've been doing this for a while because they know how to have a mental breakdown on set and actually cry, which I can cry on command. I'm not going to do it now because
I've been watching some of this stuff on Tubi, and I'm telling you, and the acting is horrendous. And listen, here's my thing: I don't expect Oscar worthy was, but I expect better than this.
Yeah.
Hey Sam, let's go over here. Okay, Lou, let's go over. It's like, what the fuck is going on here?
Yeah, the robots. I mean, I don't even know if they're real people on screen half the time. I'm like, this whole entire movie is AI.
I'm like, nobody's even trying.
No, they stopped trying. It's just this nihilistic, vapid thing that you're watching on the screen now. So.
All right. Well, thank you for coming to Hard Room, everyone. I'm Travis Bruce. I'll see you guys next time. Take care.